12 games in the NHL tonight. Let's bring in Jeff Paterson now from Rink-wide Vancouver. The game of the night we've discerned is the Canucks at the Los Angeles Kings. JP, I'm sure you would agree. What's got you excited about this one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Los Angeles Kings. Canucks haven't seen them yet this year, but they will see them 3 times. Obviously, long-time rivals here on the West Coast. And this is a Kings team that I think we've all been conditioned the last couple of years. Sit back, 5 men back, make teams break through a wall, tough to score on, but don't score a lot. All of a sudden, they're 8-3-3. They're off to a terrific start. They just went through Nashville and Minnesota and gave up 1 goal. So they're getting it done at both ends of the ice now. I think they got 5 guys that have 12 points already this season. This is going to be a good test for a Vancouver team that has beaten San Jose and Anaheim trying to complete the California sweep on this 3-game road trip. But this will be the toughest test by far based on sort of the evolution of those other 2 teams.
6-2-3, third in the Pacific Division. Where are you on this team? Or is it too early to tell? Have you formed a generalization, whether they're good or not?
Oh, I think they're a good team. It's a question of how good. And there's still so many moving parts with Thatcher Demko and his absence and his injury. Elias Pettersson, who last year, Rod, was the fastest guy in the National Hockey League to 25 points, got off to an incredible start. He's got 5 points as we sit here. And obviously now making close to $12 million. Highest paid player on the team, one of the highest paid players in the National Hockey League. Woefully underperforming. And so he has been in the spotlight here in Vancouver, basically been the talking point. And this goes back to last season as well, really since he signed the contract in March. There's just been this massive drop in his production. So people are all waiting for him to get revved up. And without Thatcher Demko, really without an awful lot of input from Elias Pettersson, yet there they are with just 2 regulation losses through 11 games. So the depth guys have been incredible. Players that they have picked up here in the offseason, like Kiefer Sherwood and Danton Heinen's been a nice addition. Teddy Bluger. You know, at the outset of the year, look, you and I have been talking for 3 minutes here. Haven't mentioned Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, Brock Besser. Those are the stars on this team, and they've all had their moments. Hughes has been really good, but without Kevin Lankinen, who was picked up on the last day of training camp because of uncertainty in the pipes, he's unbeaten in regulation time. He's 6-0-2, has picked up a point in every game he's played for the Canucks. So it's a team game, right? You need depth and you need sort of those supporting cast players. That part of this group has been really good. It's just a question of, can the stars elevate and sort of get back to the level that they were at last season for the Canucks?
I heard analysis on Elias Pettersson the other day. I want your take on this. They said maybe Vancouver is not the market for him. You know yourself, you're from there, how difficult it is to play. Some guys thrive in it. He clearly is not. How much is that a discussion point on your shows and what you're hearing?
Yeah, every day. People are just, it's so hard to sort of reconcile where this guy was a 102-point player. He was the rookie of the year, scored in his first NHL shot, scored 10 goals in his first 10 NHL games. Like he burst onto the scene and, really looked the part of a superstar. And it's just so hard to figure out whether there's an injury that he's trying to play through. He won't say anything. The team's not saying anything, but he doesn't miss any practices. He plays every game. If it was a significant injury, you'd think at some point you'd sit him down and protect the investment here, but that hasn't been the case. And so he just looks like he's so up in his own head right now and just overthinking and overprocessing absolutely everything. He's a different guy, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. He's his own guy. But as far as the market goes, look, there's 32 NHL markets. They're not all at the fever pitch in terms of the coverage, but the Vancouver is. But any of the Canadian markets, a lot of the major markets in the National Hockey League, you're going to get the same scrutiny wherever you go. So, there hasn't been any, look, he committed to the Canucks. They committed to him in March. It's a long-term max deal. If he really didn't want to be here, perhaps there would have been an opportunity then to make his intentions known, but he decided to take the money here, said all the right things in the moment. So, I don't think it's as simple as he doesn't want to be here. I just think he has to understand that he is a star and it comes with the territory, and making the money that he's making now, he's got to do a better job of blocking out the noise that comes with the attention and the focus, and just figure out a way to get back to being that guy that was one of the top players in the National Hockey League. Because right here, right now, and really this season so far, he just hasn't looked that part at all.
Bomber Boy, who's in Calgary, writes in and he says, Pettersson's wallet is weighing him down, LOL. Well, he wouldn't be the first to be under the weight of a hefty expectations and hefty contract. So are they willing to just, I guess they don't really have a choice. They got to wait for him to sort this out. Am I right?
Yeah, look, there are a lot of sort of component parts to all of this. Because he signed the contract at the age of 25, he couldn't get trade protection in the first year. So he's got a no movement clause that kicks in after year one. If it really got to a breaking point, the Canucks could, I suppose, shop him around. I don't think they're doing any of that. They want to get this thing sorted out, figured out, and have him pulling on the rope in the right direction. But that is just the certainty of the situation that he doesn't have trade protection until next, I guess, July 1st. It kicks in then. So, that will fuel speculation and rumors. I mean, look, he seems pretty happy on the 15th and the 31st of each month with the new contract. It's all those other days in between when it just isn't going for him. And it is wild. Again, we have seen this guy play at a level that made you think he was going to be one of the top players in the National Hockey League for a long, long time. And so I don't believe he's forgotten how to play hockey, but when you watch him suit up and get out there, it's just not happening for him at all right now. And you're right. Like, as an organization, I think they're supporting him. They're trying to surround him with the right people and put him in positions to succeed. But at some point, and Rick Tocchet has made this point abundantly clear, at some point it's on the player just to figure it out and show up and start producing. And they're not at that point yet. 5 points, 11 games into this season.
Sounds to me like he could benefit from a chat with a sports psychologist, and my guess is he probably already has. I had a hockey guy say to me the other day, Jeff, that the Canucks peaked last year, that they've reached their ceiling, putting a pennant up from the division and as far as they went in the playoffs. Do you agree with that? Or how high can they go?
Yeah, look, they pushed the Oilers to Game 7 of the Stanley, or to the second round without Thatcher Demko, and Brock Besser didn't play Game 7 because he had blood clots. So I'm not saying they would have beaten the Oilers, but you get to Game 7, you take your chances. They fell just short on home ice. They think there's growth potential. They think that they've got the kind of team here that can get them to a conference final, and at that point, you're in the Final Four, and then you need some things to go your way. You're dealing with probably the four of the best teams in the National Hockey League. So I'm not sitting here and saying that this is a prohibitive Stanley Cup favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but they think that they have checked off a lot of boxes. It's a solid team, without a doubt, when you look at the forward group. And when I say the forward group, I'm including a productive Elias Pettersson, so they do have to get that sorted and figured out. Right now, the issue is on defense, because beyond Quinn Hughes and Filip Hronek, and those two have been sensational by any measure, by any metric. The ice just absolutely tilts in the Canucks' favor when they're out there. And Hughes plays a ton, but even if he plays close to 30, it leaves another 30 minutes where you've got to find guys that can get the job done. And they have been exposed lower in their defensive depth. And I think coming into the season that we wondered that. Nikita Zadorov had an incredible playoff run. He took the money and went to Boston. And they really didn't fill that gap. I mean, they brought in players, but Zadorov was so dynamic in the playoffs, had a terrific playoff run, became a massive fan favorite, brought real swagger to this group as well. And so there are legitimate concerns, but we also know that Patrick Allvin is one of the most aggressive, one of the most active general managers on the trade front. It was last November they made the Zadorov deal. A few months after that, they went out and got Elias Lindholm. They are accruing cap space here so that they can cook something up. The roster you see isn't the roster that they'll have at the trade deadline. I fully believe that Patrick Allvin isn't going to let this opportunity slide. So, no, I think this can be a really good team, but can it get beyond the second round? I mean, I guess time will tell.
Yeah, they did pretty well last year. So we'll see. Hey, we got to run, but I'm coming to Vancouver next week. I don't know if I'll see you unless I wind up in the press box of Rogers, whatever they're calling it, Rogers Arena. Although I might, you never know. Is the Grey Cup rating at all on your radar, Jeff?
The Canucks play Grey Cup Sunday against Nashville, so I'll be busy then with hockey rather than football, but I'll make time for some events throughout the week, so hopefully we cross paths. Look, it was really disappointing to see the BC Lions be 5-1 at one point in the season and then bring in Nathan Rourke, and there was some real hype and buzz in the marketplace. Matthew Betts came back as well, and then just absolutely flamed out from there. End up losing more games than they win. Look, hosting the Grey Cup, that's never a guarantee, right? But it's always that pot of gold for the team that is supposed to be the host team. So opportunity was knocking for the Lions. They were the presumptive Grey Cup champs, really, by any pundit that follows the CFL at the outset of the season. I don't think you can look at this any way other than to say this was a massive, massive letdown and disappointment. And so now, and you've experienced this before, you get the Grey Cup here in your city, but your team's out after the first round of the playoffs. So not a lot of buzz right here, right now. But once we know the Grey Cup finalists, hopefully Canada's Great Party will live up to its reputation and things will pick up here. So I hope you enjoy your time in Vancouver, and I hope we cross paths somewhere along the line.
Thank you for the on-the-spot report, Jeff. I'll see you next week. There's no doubt. Thanks for the time, man. Enjoy the game tonight.
Always great, Rod. Thanks.